Welcome back, everybody. Let's take a break with Stephen Shamus.
Good to see you, my friend. How are you today?
Always a good day. Wonderful. Every day.
The market is on fire. It's exploding.
Yes. I got my Ace mug.
Oh, yeah, Ace mug too. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I mean, the prices are just going crazy. It's like it's funny because like every week I'm like, oh, what are we going to talk about next week? Like we just feel like we covered everything. And it's like, and then everything else just breaks records, and it's like, oh, we got a whole new show. I mean, the Wolverine #1 from 1988 is on fire, Alex. Oh my God. Like it's just like regular books. I mean, Spider-Man 328, the punch of the Hulk.
Yeah,
those are $200, over $200 a book now. It's crazy. So I mean, eventually we'll get to all these books, but it's like every single, like how many, you can't keep talking about the same books.
Yeah,
but every single week everything is breaking records. So
it's hard to find books, man. I've looked, like when I'm scouring eBay for like weird rare stuff, like nothing's rare anymore. There's no easy finds anymore.
No. All right, so what are we talking about today?
I'm gonna jump right into it. Talk a little Damion Wayne, who people may know, some Vamperonica, a little Archie for the kids.
Crazy prices.
Yeah, Cyberpunk 2077, which again for the kids if you're a gamer, and Pop Kill.
Yeah, the Jimmy Palmiotti, Amanda Connor series.
Yep.
Yeah, it's and Dave Johnson, of course. So anyway, there's some unusual stuff in here, but the prices are just going crazy, Alex. Bananas. So yeah, so we got to talk about it a little bit. Okay, so what are we going to start with today?
Yeah, let's talk about Vamperonica.
Yeah, Alex, where did this book and this pricing come from? Out of left field from 2012. Dan Parent, of course, has been doing Betty and Veronica for years. Yeah, what is Vamperonica and why are these prices skyrocketing?
It's Archie keys are almost a little few and far between. The series have been running forever. I mean, to get a number Archie, first appearance of Archie's Pep Comics, that's astronomical. To get Archie #1, that's astronomical. There's a few things. The first Cheryl Blossom, which we've talked about in the past, that's a tough one to find. The big deal with Archie books is they're for kids. They're made for kids. So they're beat up, they're used, they're sent away to camp, they're thrown away. So when you get a book like Vamperonica, where the character of Veronica as a vampire spins off into the more kind of like YA adult series Vamperonica, people kind of want to scoop up like first appearances, and this is the first appearance of that character.
Yeah, but why is this character so popular?
Archie, Betty, Veronica, Jacket, you'll never not have them be characters people love, especially with Riverdale. Riverdale helps that a lot right now.
Listen, I think most people introduction to comic books, me included, was the Archie Digest books. So that's your introduction. You go to the newsstand, you buy the Archie Digest. It's the same story 9,000 times.
Yeah, exactly.
Different whatever, the hamburgers and everything else, and then you wind up there. Okay, so Vamperonica, Betty and Veronica #261 from November of 2012. What's also interesting is it's almost 10 years old at this point.
Yeah.
And the pop reports are crazy. It's Dan Parent story and cover, and it's Dan Parent and Rich Kozlowski art. 16 blue label 9.8s, 1 gold label 9.8. That book sells for about $550 plus in 9.8s, but they're going up. I don't know that you're going to find it $550 anymore.
No.
A newsstand 9.8 just sold for $1,500, Alex. I bet you out of the 16, there's probably only 1 or 2 of those.
That's not chump change. Yeah.
And then a 9.6s are selling for $350. And in raw, they're $200. Raw, Alex. And then the second appearance where she's on the cover is Betty and Veronica #262. Came out a little bit later. There's no pop on the book at all. None were sent to CGC as of this writing, or CGC sometimes could be a little delayed. And that book sells for $125 raw.
Yeah.
So I mean, huge price on this Vamperonica. Again, I bet you there's a lot of dealers out there or whatever where, like, if you go through your dollar boxes from 2012, like, I don't know that a dealer would even remember having those. You're gonna laugh. I went to in the park in New York. sometimes they have these like bodegas, right? And they just have like they're like random comic.
Yeah, just look, but just
so one bodega had vintage. The store was closed when I went by. Had vintage vinyl albums and vintage comic books, and on the wall were Marvel Age comic books, which they're probably they're probably $1 or $2 each, you know, because in those bodegas they don't necessarily know. But it's like, here I am in just some random bodega shop where like you could buy a vintage comic. I don't know what kind of condition it's in because it was a little far away, but it's like, there's no question you could probably dig in through some boxes that dealers have these sitting in their boxes, Alex.
Yeah. And even when shows happen again, not everybody, I mean, we do this every week and we're bringing up stuff that's out of nowhere. People aren't keeping a list and going through their stuff. You know, they know the big stuff, but there still might be deals. You still might be able to find these in you know, grab bags or you know, dollar boxes.
Every single week, I am shocked. I mean, like, there's so many books that like Long Shot 1, 9/8. Those were like $100. They're like $700-800 now.
Yeah.
You know, so you'd be like, I'm not going to bother with a 9/6. I'm not going to bother getting a 9/6 rating. Well, 9/6s are almost $200 now. So it's like, okay, so you could go through that box and the dealer would be like, 9/6, forget it. I'm not going to do it. But now 9/6 is worth $150.
Yeah. Worth buying.
So, right. Worth buying. All right. What do we got next, Alex?
Yeah. Let's talk about Pop Kill.
So this is the Jimmy Palmiotti, Dave Johnson book. You know, Amanda's been providing some of the naughty covers as well. Very hard to do research on this book. Very, very few books on the aftermarket. It was a Kickstarter on a lot of the books. There's naughty books. There's limited variants. There's all these sorts of variants. Talk to us a little bit about Pop Kill. Why is this so popular? And what is the story about?
Yeah, so it's a Kickstarter book, which means unless you put money into the Kickstarter, you're probably not getting a copy. So that's a little bit of a reason why we're seeing the prices kind of jump around. And it's also a book by industry legends. You know, Jimmy Palmiotti, Dave Johnson did 100 Bullets. Like this is the great team. The book's about ex-conjoined twins who run separate soda companies who will do anything possible to make sure theirs is number one, which means, you know, hiring killers and you know, doing anything that you would think a multi-global company would do to be better.
It's like Mad Spy versus Spy, it sounds like.
Yeah. Spy versus Spy if they owned Coke and Pepsi.
Ah, clever.
There's your quick sell pitch.
Have you gotten these books yet or no?
No.
Okay. Yeah, they got to make them. They got to make new printings on them. Okay, so Pop Kill #1, May of 2020. So it's only a year old.
Yep.
Jimmy Palmiotti and Dave Johnson story. Juan Santa Cruz art. Dave Johnson did the initial cover. There's no pop, but they're $100 to $150 raw, Alex. And based on what we saw with the other books, $100 to $150 raw book could be a $500 plus 9/8 more, right?
Yeah.
500 plus. Then there's the Dave Johnson naughty covers. So there's a little bit of nudity on the covers. Amanda's been doing some nudie covers too. Those are limited to 350. They've been doing 350 and 400 copies on some of these limited covers. Mm-hmm. Again, there's no pop. Those are about $175 raw on the Dave Johnson one. Those are limited to 350. Then the Amanda Connor naughty cover is also limited to 350. Also no pop. Those are also 150 plus on the naughty covers. Then on Pop Kill #2, the dates, there doesn't seem to be a consistency on the dates, right? It doesn't come out like once a month. It's like comes out at, you know, sort of every couple of months.
Yeah.
So Pop Kill #2 comes out a little bit later. Zero pop. That regular cover is about $125 raw. The Dave Johnson naughty cover limited to 400 is $200 raw.
Wow.
And the Amanda Connor naughty cover limited to 400 is $150 plus raw. So again, and there's only 400 copies, Alex. So these are not going to be in dollar bins. These are not going to be in there. These were Kickstarters, which means that the people that ordered it on the Kickstarter, you're right. They got their copy. It's in a bag and board, and that's the end of it.
A store didn't order 100 copies. This is collectors. Yeah,
you're right. It's 400 collectors who bought the book, and that's the end of it. Then Pop Kill #3 came out in November of 2020. Pretty cool. There's no pop. I can't find any for sale because, look, by #3, you know that the sales start going down.
Yep.
So as limited as they were on 1 and 2, 3 is even lower. And forget it, you can't find #3 at all. Period. If you see a copy raw, get it. There's a number 3 Sienkiewicz variant cover, $100 raw, limited to 400. And there's also an Amanda Connor cover, which you can't find, naughty cover too.
Yep.
Then Pop Kill number 4, January of 2021. Jimmy Palmiotti and Dave Johnson story. This is the big one. You have the Adam Hughes cover.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the Adam Hughes cover is a $400 to $500 book. There's 18 blue label 9/8, there's 0 gold label 9/8, and in 9.8 they're $800.
Yeah,
that is the hottest book of the series, the Adam Hughes number 4 cover. Again, the number 4 regular cover, there's only 1 blue label 9/8, 0 gold label 9/8, and you can't find them in any kind of raw condition.
Right.
So anyway, what we're telling you is that if somebody does put their Pop Kill up for sale, you should probably just buy it, because you just can't even find them.
Yeah.
And again, I do think shows would help them, because I do think shows dealers would order more, carry them, bring them. But without shows, they're not gonna buy or carry these books.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
It's time for Alex's pick of the week. Alex, what do you got for us this week?
Yeah, I want to talk about one of my favorite subjects, promo comics, because I love them. It's one of my favorite things. And really, I want to talk about the promo comic for your local area. For example, back in '83, the Texas State Fair, which is huge, probably the biggest fair in the country, had X-Men goes to the Texas State Fair.
I remember that book.
Yeah. And you can find them. They're not super expensive. You can find near mints for $10, and CGCs aren't out of control. But these are fun because it really makes you think, like, what else, local books. Here in New York, there's obviously, it's New York City, so there's been a ton of different books. Most recently, that Con Edison doing power ones with DC Comics, and it's talking about power safety or when to turn off the lights and everything like that. But as these are kind of coming out, they're kind of easy to come by because stores will get a handful, Midtown will have some for sale, they're $5, you grab them. But these are going to be definitely things that in the long run are going to be thrown away. They're not going to be kept in great condition. Anytime I bought a collection at Midtown, you'd find a couple of these things in it, and that's great. But again, beat up, nobody takes care of them. They're freebies, so no one thinks of them. And a lot of big cities, Chicago, LA, they're going to have their own promo stuff, and stuff in the people in the East Coast won't be able to get it. So I definitely think this is a thing for people to look out for a future kind of like hold. Promo comics are starting to pick up a little bit. There's a lot of stuff. Did you know that there was a vigilante serial in like the 50s, and there was an Action Comics, I think it's 57 or maybe 47, that had the vigilante on it, and they were giving away at it's $750 for a 50. So like, and it's a small book. I mean, it's stuff like that where once you start looking at the history of these books, keeping them and saving them, it's a good idea for the future.
Right. Got it. And by the way, I remember DC Comics did a LeBron James comic.
Oh yeah, those are bananas.
I wonder what those are selling for now. We got to check those out.
Yeah, they're not out of control, but they're not cheap. $10 to $20 for some of them.
Got it. All right, what are we talking about next, Alex?
Yeah, let's jump into my favorite Bat son, Damion Wayne.
Yeah, so we talked about we talked about Tim Drake. We talked about all the all the other Robins in the past. These books seem to be on fire again. Out of no, I don't want to say out of everything seems to be out of nowhere, Alex.
Sure.
So talk a little bit about Damion Wayne, that character, who he is, and what he started, and where he is now.
Yeah, so Damion Wayne is the son of Bruce Wayne and Talia al Ghul, and this was to say it mildly, the seeds were planted in the 80s when they were doing the Batman original graphic novels. And Bruce Wayne and Talia al Ghul and Ra's al Ghul, had kind of like there's 3 Son of the Demon books. Grant Morrison started writing Batman. He brought this character Damion Wayne in, and he is the son of Batman, and he becomes Robin. And I think currently he's got his own series coming out where he is not with Batman. But I mean, this is just like the Red Hood character. It's a fan favorite. He's a great character. He's kind of a little jerk, like, he is also the son of Talia al Ghul, who's a daughter of the Demon's Head. So he's been taught as assassins, he knows how to kill people, and he walked that line with Batman. There's no killing, we don't kill. So he's a fun character, and he's not going anywhere. You know, if you thought that this was just like, oh, Grant Morrison doing whatever he wants, the character's staying. It's going to be a mainstay for a while.
I mean, 2006. I mean, this character is 15 years old already.
Yeah, it's almost 20. Yeah,
it's always hard for me to believe, because remember when we talked about Adam Kubert changing his style when he went to DC and going on that tonal board.
Right.
This was what he did. He did that tonal cover.
Yeah.
With Damion Wayne, and I'm like 2006. I'm like, that was 15 years ago.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it at all.
15. Like I remember him changing his style. I was like, oh, let's go. Like 15 years. It's hard to believe.
Yeah.
Batman 655, September of 2006. There are 705 Blue Label 9.8s out. That's a pretty hefty number. There's 88 Gold Label 9.8s, probably signed by Andy Kubert. That's the red cover. Now the brown cover, which is the tonal cover we just talked about, was done by Adam Kubert. Now sometimes people just write Kubert cover, not realizing that Andy did one cover and Adam did the other one. It can be very, very confusing. So that's the first appearance of Damian and Cameo on the last page, on the last two pages. There's also a Joker story, obviously Italia al Ghul cameo. It's Grant Morrison, as you said, with Andy Kubert covered in art. The Batman 655 Adam Kubert variant cover, Alex, which is the brown tonal cover.
Right.
That's $500 to $525. So it's double the price. The pop on that book is less than half. But it's still pretty hefty.
Yeah.
293 Blue Label 9.8s, 75 Gold Label 9.8s. So that's the book. It's interesting because typically the cameo is not what people want.
Right.
But in this particular case, they do want the cameo appearance because it's on the last two pages. But excuse me, what can I tell you? Okay. The first full appearance of Damian is Batman 656. That's got an Andy Kubert cover. That came out in October of 2006, a month later. 284 Blue Label 9.8s, 31 Gold Label 9.8s, and that's a $200 book. So that one's a pretty good one because that's the first full appearance.
I would say so. Yeah, that's a low pop. 284 for a modern book. That's pretty low.
But to me, the real book is Batman 657 because that's the first time he's on the cover.
Yep.
November of 2006, 95 Blue Label 9.8s, 7 Gold Label 9.8s. That's only a $100 book. It's Robin versus Damian, again, Grant Morrison, and it's got an Andy Kubert cover. That's a really cool cover, by the way.
Yeah, it's great.
That's a really nice cover. I love that.
Those covers are phenomenal.
Right. And then the last book I want to talk about, and you'll have to explain it a little bit, is Batman 666. Obviously, we know the significance of that. July of 2007. There are 257 Blue Label 9.8s. There are 24 Gold Label 9.8s. That's about a $200 book. That's the first Damian Wayne as Batman. It's also the first appearance of Professor Pig, Lazio Valentine, and it's also a Grant Morrison story. So talk a little bit about Damian Wayne as Batman.
It's just like a future story, like Damian in the future as Batman. Another big thing about this book is Professor Pig, who they've used a lot since then. This is a new Batman villain. I believe he was in Gotham, and they're using him in more Batman comics. I mean, a lot of creators create villains for the stories like Hush and stuff like that, but Professor Pig's pretty big. I mean, he's been around.
What does he do? What does he do?
He's got like a pig face, and he's just another crazy villain. And he's cutting people's faces off. Yeah.
Isn't that what which villain did cut the piece of people's faces off?
Oh, there's a lot of villains that did weird stuff like that. But I mean, even like the Joker story. Remember Death in the Family? He had his face cut off. Yeah. So it's a fun story, and this is where Grant Morrison's run kind of gets a little bananas, goes a little crazy. It's a good book. It's a fun book.
Got it. Okay, what's next, Alex?
My favorite Keanu Reeves video game, by far the best Keanu Reeves video game, Cyberpunk 2077.
Okay. It's obviously based on the CD Project Red video game. Why are these books so valuable? Who's collecting these books? What is this story?
So we're seeing a little bit of this going on right now with a book called Batman Zero Point, which is a Batman Fortnite crossover. The comic book
is on fire.
It's absolutely crazy. Nobody ordered enough because it's exactly this reason. There is the comic book world where there's comic book readers and everything, and there's a video game world, and sometimes they meet. And I play video games, not at all like wouldn't call myself a video gamer, but that's a million trillion billion dollar industry. Video games are $60 a pop, and they have been since 1995. you know, so when someone's buying a new video game, you know, you could buy 10 comics for $50. When these two worlds collide, the video game people want more. You know, we talked about this with Mario and Zelda. They want more content, and it takes so long to put video games out that they find it in comic books and novels and such. So a lot of times comic book stores won't order a lot of books unless they know that their readers or their subscribers are going to buy these. And a video game tie-in is very tough. I remember the Call of Duty comics didn't sell as well, but you know, Cyberpunk and Fortnite Batman sold like crazy and outsold everything. So finding first prints of these books as a video game fan of Cyberpunk, or even a comic fan just trying to complete some runs, it's very hard to find.
Got it. All right, so let's talk about these two Cyberpunk books.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk 2077, Trauma Team, September of 2020. There are 57 Blue Label 9.8s. There's zero Gold Label 9.8s. That's about $100 book. So that's a good buy at that one. But then they made a Robert Samelin variant cover with a print run of 300, Alex.
Wow.
Okay. There are only 7 Blue Label 9.8s. There's 0 Gold Label 9.8s. The last one sold for over $1,200. And again, you cannot find these books raw.
No.
Like you just can't find them raw. So would you be able to find these books in dollar bins, or these are not even really books?
Yeah, I mean, you know, all it takes is a store that had 5 copies that didn't sell, and they put them in there. I mean, this isn't stuff that people keep and collect. This isn't an Amazing Spider-Man. You're not trying to keep up a run. This is definitely something that I think, you know, if you travel around to go to different stores that maybe aren't in a metropolitan area, you could probably find them for cheap or cover price.
Would Midtown have these kinds of books or
No.
not? Or they would
no, because they're online. People, if they had them in stock, people would order them.
Right.
I would say someone, you know, if you go upstate New York or, you know, wherever you are, that's not like the big city part, you might be able to find a couple of these.
Got it. All right, Alex, that's it for today. Another great, interesting show. We talked about a few interesting things that I don't think anybody, different stuff. Again, we try to find different stuff for you guys out there. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the field. We try to find different stuff. We're not just talking about all the mainstream stuff that everybody knows about, Batman, Superman, whatever. We're trying to give you nuggets of that you could jump on it before you start to see these price increases, especially with all the TV and film stuff that's coming out.
Yeah.
So that's another great show, Alex. We will see you next week. Same bat time.
Same bat channel. Thanks, guys.